Sisters Podcast. I'm Felicia.
And I'm Lauren.
And we're best friends.
And we talk about scary movies.
It's true. And we took a month off.
We took a month off and we're back. We needed some resting time, some thinking time.
October is crazy. October takes it out of us, I'll say.
It does. That's why we had to take November off.
That's right. And today we're talking about, so we both saw Dr. Sleep.
Yes, we did.
That is what happened. Separately, and also weeks after it came out. So, personally, I was like, I don't want to do a review on it on my channel normally because it felt like I was like too far behind. And so what we decided instead was to have a discussion about Dr. Sleep with the context of The Shining included and talk about both movies and all that. So that's what's happening.
Yes. That is exactly what's happening. I was like, do I have anything to add?
No. I should pull up also the doc. Okay. So.
Wait, also, I'm going to give us a hot fact to start out that I don't know.
Oh, give us a hot fact.
It is. The Shining was 1980, baby.
1980.
Big year for movies.
Big decade for movies.
Big decade for movies. Shall I start?
Yeah, just start.
Okay, so we're going to start with the fact that... Okay, so we're not really going to give plot with The Shining, right?
I don't think we need to.
I think everyone knows it. If you don't know it, maybe you shouldn't listen to this episode. So, the movie was notoriously hated by Stephen King.
Yes.
We know this.
Yes.
We feel differently. Some of us.
Okay, it's The Shining is a lot of people's, like, top horror film.
Yes.
Like, a lot of people. Because it is freaking beautiful. It's shot amazing. All the imagery is amazing. The performances are iconic. And sad. We'll get into that. But I think understandably so Stephen King originally wrote a screenplay of The Shining, and apparently Stanley Kubrick didn't even read it.
Didn't want to.
Strike one. Strike one.
Didn't want to be influenced.
No. And so he brought in, I wrote her name, Diane Johnson, to write it with him. And
a lady.
And so they really, they went in and sort of did their own version of The Shining, and Stephen King was very not involved. There's some story about, like Stanley Kubrick called and, like, asked him a question or something, and, like, just the whole relationship between the two was distant and bad throughout the process.
And Stephen King publicly talked, and
yes.
still talks about how much he doesn't like that movie.
Yes. And the main reason is because our main character, Jack Torrance, in the movie played by Jack Nicholson, is supposed to be, in the book, a slow descent into madness and...
alcoholism.
Correct.
Well, I don't know if that's the right grammar, but...
No, yes, absolutely.
Right? He is an alcoholic and has had trouble in the past.
Yeah.
And these problems resurface.
We got trouble, my friends. Trouble right here.
Right here in River City.
Thank you.
Always.
But yeah, so, and then, of course, when you watch The Shining or watch anything, basically, that Jack Nicholson is in, his face...
He's untrustworthy from the beginning.
It's true. Like, not only does he already seem a little off and a little crazy, but he also is a dick, like, to start.
Yes.
And he's supposed to be, like, a loving father that is going through a hard time and then slowly descends into this horrible thing. But it feels like from the beginning, Jack Nicholson, like, could snap at any moment from the first shot.
I always think in that scene where he's being interviewed for the job, it's like, how would this person hire him?
Oh, yeah. He's acting so crazy. Yeah.
He's actually crazy.
Absolutely.
I also think it's something to do with his eyebrows.
It's
the middle of his eyebrows go up in a way that no one should.
It's true. Well, do you know who has his eyebrows?
Who?
Travis has those eyebrows.
Oh,
have you ever noticed?
God, no.
I've heard when Travis has very archy eyebrows, and so he always looks
crazy?
A little evil, or like a little bit like, if he's like this, it's like really crazy. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Side note.
Side note.
Travis will play Jack Nicholson. A young Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
So, shall I share this next little tidbit?
Please do.
So, in the book, the spooky room is actually 217, not room 237, as we know it from the Stanley Kubrick movie.
And the weird documentary about conspiracy theories.
Well, yes. I have not seen that.
Me neither, but I know it exists.
So what we know.
If you've seen it, tell if it's worth watching.
I mean, anyway. So, Oregon's Timberland Lodge, which is what it was based on, or not, I mean, where it was shot.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. The hotel's exterior,
yes,
for some of the shots, are to blame for that swap. So they said, we do not want the number to be 217 because they actually have a room in the hotel called, or number 217. So they were worried that people weren't going to want to stay in this room.
Stupid.
So there is no room 237 in that hotel, so that felt like a safe number for them to pick.
Yes.
But curiously, room 217 at that hotel is requested most frequently.
I mean, that's where I would stay. If I was going to go, I would refuse every other room until I was allowed in 217.
100%.
So
you got to stay in the spooky room.
So I think the things that make The Shining stand out to me besides the blood elevator, which is my favorite shot of the movie.
It's amazing.
Is the performances of Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, and Danny Lloyd are all so, they all look so breakable. Like, the performances are, so
fragile.
Yeah, they're so fragile. It's so realistic and scary. Like, at any moment, Jack Nicholson can snap. At any moment, Shelley Duvall could, snap her little twig arm. Do you know what I mean? And even Danny, always looks, on the cusp of something horrible happening. And, those performances, all, stuck together in this giant hotel is so amazing. That's what always drew me into the movie the most.
I think that's true. I think for me it's always been sorry Stephen King. It's always been the weirdness of how it's shot.
Oh,
all of the Friday.
Oh yeah.
And the I will never get over that scene where the guy is was it you that I showed this to?
What? I don't know.
The scene where the guy is giving oral sex to a guy in an animal suit.
A scene I had blocked out of my memory.
She was scarred.
And did I tell you I got the VHS of The Shining?
No.
I got it. It was unopened. But I watched it the night before I went to see Dr. Sleep. And when that scene came up, I was like, I literally just blocked this shot from my memory.
Horrific.
It's so weird.
It's a lot.
Can I ask, did you see The Shining as a kid or a teenager?
So it's one of the ones that I note as bringing me back to horror after The Ring.
Cool. Yeah.
My dad showed it to me probably, I don't know, 9th, 10th grade.
Okay, yeah. I feel like I was around-ish the same age.
And then I made all my friends watch it.
Yeah.
It was one of the ones that I was I know I can handle this now.
Yeah.
So, I've got a spooky movie to recommend.
Absolutely.
But I was always struck by, we always talk about this too, but how terrible they make Shelley Duvall look. Because she is not, she's interesting looking, but she's not hideous, and they make her look hideous.
Yeah, they make her look like a wild woman. And
she's never washed her hair.
Yeah, absolutely.
The clothes are terrible.
Poor little thing. She's so skinny, all these clothes that don't fit her. And like I was saying, of this character that could break at any moment. This is pretty well known, but Shelley Duvall had a pretty terrible time on set. Both Stanley Kubrick and Jack Nicholson didn't treat her very well. And Kubrick would make her do scenes over and over again to the point of madness. Famously, the stare with the baseball bat scene, they made her do it 127 times, which I would just call physical abuse.
Yeah. It also makes me feel like I should have judged her less for how she was swinging the bat.
Yeah, because she's so
she's
physically
barely
exhausted.
hitting it. Barely hitting anyone.
Yeah. And it also for me is I love The Shining, and I really do. But part of it for me is if someone can't get the performance out of an actor that they want without torturing them, that's either a director problem or an actor problem, or both. And it's no one should have to do that 127 times.
No.
That feels like torture to me.
Especially that scene of that intensity.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
And in terms of Danny Lloyd, he didn't do much after this, right? I'm pretty sure I tried to look. Yeah. But he apparently was just told he was in a drama, so he didn't see any of the bad stuff. They usually just with kids in horror movies. But I am always amazed by how creepy his Tony voice is.
Terrifying.
That blows my mind because I'm how did he not know he was in a horror movie? It's so scary.
He probably thought he was doing a funny voice and in the context of...
Just don't smile.
I know. It is scary. It's also, there's something about his eyes. They look very much like old soul eyes.
Absolutely. Which is what makes him such a good little actor. And even the moments where it's the flashes of him scared.
His scared face is so sad.
It's so sad. Oh my God.
Scary.
It's great.
When he sees the twins.
Oh yeah. Oh, the twins. That is a costume we will do for you one day.
We shall do.
Yeah.
We should have pulled it together for today, and yet
that's so dumb.
I mean,
we don't have time. We
don't
didn't
have
have
time.
time. We didn't think of it in time. But.
So
yeah, those are the things that I love about The Shining.
I know. I was gonna say I wanted to talk about the end, which
go for it.
is spoilers if you just because it's gonna launch us into talking about Dr. Sleep,
Which is why we're really here.
Which is why we're really here. We love The Shining, but we got to move on. But the book version of The Shining ends with Jack Torrance having neglected all of his jobs seemingly, but most importantly, releasing steam from the boiler, which I know nothing about boilers, but
apparently you gotta release that steam.
you gotta release that steam. Not to be confused with other kinds of steam that we'll talk about later.
That's true.
But
very good, Lauren.
thank
very good.
you. But so he hasn't been releasing steam from the boiler. The boiler explodes. He actually has like a moment with his son of being lucid.
Yeah.
And saying, like, you and your mom need to run. And then the boiler explodes. The whole hotel goes up in flames. Hotel is no more. This is the book. So
Not the movie.
in the movie, I feel like everyone has seen at least the meme of Jack Nicholson.
It's literally
Frozen.
one of the things on Instagram. Like, what are those called? When you scroll up on a story and you could add, like, a little moving guy.
Oh.
There's a frozen Jack Nicholson of those.
Because that's how everyone feels, I guess, right now.
It's true.
But he goes into the maze, which also there isn't a maze in the book. It's
really?
Yes, it's like topiary animals like Edward Scissorhands.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
So Stanley Kubrick invented the maze. You know, Danny runs into the maze, does a nice little trick to get him not to see where his footprints are, and then Jack Nicholson freezes to death.
Yeah.
So
very
different
endings.
Oh yeah.
It's salt and styrofoam. I always love to know what they make things out of that like look so real, because that snow for me looks so real, but salt and styrofoam, baby.
It's also crazy I don't know how cold it was. Was it cold?
I doubt it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You're like rolling in the snow, fine.
Just pretending to shiver.
Pretending to be cold. So anyway, I just think that's important to know, because then when Mike Flanagan started to tackle Dr. Sleep, he had to start with two very different endings and try to merge them.
Yeah. What I've heard a lot of people say, which I fully support after seeing the movie, is that Mike Flanagan, who by the way is one of my favorite directors, and I think you too.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I just
that
love
second
him
Ouija
so much.
movie.
I'm so proud of literally everything he's done. But that he did a great job of marrying Stephen King's vision and Kubrick's vision together to make them work together, even though they didn't want to work together. But I think that's definitely the case.
And he's such a big Stephen King fan, I know.
Yeah.
That I'm sure, like, knowing that Stanley Kubrick's version was not one that Stephen King liked, it would be really difficult to start with, like, The Shining is an iconic movie. Like, you can't just ignore that and make your own version of Dr. Sleep that's close to the novel.
Exactly. Because people are going in not having read the book. People are going in loving a particular movie, and if you don't, like, pay homage to those iconic scenes, people will be mad, right? And so I think he did a really good job of, like, of having all of those moments. Like, even if you guys saw the trailer, and also in the movie, like, they've reshot all these things that look shot for shot like The Shining.
It's really crazy.
It's really crazy.
The tricycle scene,
I thought it was just from the movie. Yeah. I absolutely thought that. But something I do really appreciate that he did as well is he hired new actors to play the people in these, like, reenactments, if you will.
Which now, like, in the age of CGI and all these things, they probably could have made CGI versions of them. Exactly.
And I'm sure that was an option. But I am so glad I didn't do that. It's the same feeling of, like, practical effects versus CGI. It's like, it's gonna feel fake.
Right.
But if you have an actor that can, like, and particularly, what is the actress's name that plays Shelley Duvall?
We got nothing.
Alex Esso.
There you go.
Particularly if you hire an actress or an actor that can study the movement and the speech and everything of the actor that played the role previously, it's so much more amazing and organic, which we talked about this already, but like Alex Esso's movement is so Wendy Torrance.
It's so crazy.
It's so specific. Like,
and she doesn't look like exactly like Shelley Duvall.
Exactly.
There's just something about her mannerisms and her voice.
Yes.
Her voice is really...
The moment for me is, if you guys remember, when she, like, she comes out of the restaurant. This is after her and Danny have moved to Florida after the events of The Shining. And Danny is, like, has left the restaurant, is, like, sitting out by the water. And she's, like, and she starts running towards him in this, like, full-on, like, desperate mom run that Shelley Duvall does so well, of just, like, a little bit waving arms.
Yes.
And she does it, and when she's running towards the camera,
saying Danny.
And saying Danny, it is Shelley Duvall. It's amazing.
It's really crazy.
Yeah.
I also am like, I wonder if, like, I don't know, Shelley Duvall or Jack Nicholson were, like, around at all. I guess not.
Know.
Shelley Duvall's not okay, so probably
I
not.
know, Shelley Duvall's not okay. You can look up more about that on the internet, but
I don't want
she's
to.
not okay. But Jack Nicholson, there was a moment when we got to the bartender scene where it was clear it was going to be Jack Torrance becoming the bartender, because Jack Torrance died in the hotel. We really haven't given you any plot yet, so sorry about that, but I'll come back.
We will.
But that was a moment for me where I was like, oh, I haven't heard anything about this, but are they just going to make Jack Nicholson do it? And then I'm like, and they didn't, and I'm like, did they reach out to Jack Nicholson?
Right.
Was this an option?
Right.
It's always that stuff, like, this is off topic, but I just was doing some research on Interview with the Vampire just for my own benefit, and the amount of actors that were almost those parts, it just blows my mind.
Okay.
Oh, Toby. He's yawning, he's coughing, he doesn't know how he feels. But it's like, it can become such a different movie with different people, and so it's like whatever choice Mike Flanagan makes with those actors is like the imprint that movie's gonna leave on the world. I know it's like being dramatic.
No,
but
it's true though.
Has it been an hour?
Wow.
This is embarrassing. Now you know that wasn't a real fire.
She hasn't had a fireplace this whole time.
This whole time! What an embarrassment. Hold on, we'll try again. Oh, God. It looks like the ring right now because of the ring light.
It is the ring.
This is the ring. Samara, are you there?
What if this turned into a full-fledged ring video?
And I just crawled through the camera right now?
Yeah. Toby crawls through.
Okay.
Look how cute.
Okay. We're back with a slow fire and a ring light. God, what an embarrassment. Okay. Should we talk a little bit about the plot of Dr. Sleep?
I think we probably should.
Yeah.
So.
It's much more about The Shining than The Shining.
Yes. So it starts off right after the events of The Shining.
Yes.
But they've moved to Florida.
They're starting a new life.
Danny seems a little older.
Yeah.
But not quite.
Yeah, that little actor also does a great job, by the way.
He does a great job. But he's not talking.
Mm-hmm.
He's not okay.
He's not okay. He's traumatized.
And good old Dick, isn't that his name?
I think so.
Harlan? Dick Halloran. I'm not sure how you say that, and I'm sorry. So Dick comes, and if you don't remember, he is the man in The Shining who also has a touch of The Shining and coins that term.
Yeah.
But he also dies in the first one, so he's coming back in ghost form to kind of help Danny deal with what happened at the hotel.
Yes.
So he teaches him how to lock these ghosts into chests.
And deal with his shining. Like, how to... And he talks about how, like, his grandmother or something, like, taught him about how to have a box in his mind that he could put these evil things in so he didn't have to deal with them all the time.
So one of the ghosts is, like, that creepy old woman from room 237.
She comes up a lot in Dr. Sleep.
Like, actually too much, I would say.
Yeah, but I always thought she was the scariest part, so...
But isn't it weird that young woman never comes back?
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess that's only Jack Torrance sees that.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it would be weird if Danny saw a beautiful naked woman.
Yeah, because it wouldn't be enticing to a child.
No, it'd be creepy. So, so he locks up the ghosts into chests. And then I think we pretty much fast forward, right?
Yeah, and then Danny grows up. And this is sort of like... Danny has to deal with some of the same issues that his father did, such as alcoholism,
Which is much more a part of Dr. Sleep than, I would say, the Shining movie.
Yes. You mentioned something about that Stephen King...
Yeah, so Stephen King, at least what I've read about the novel, is that it deals much more with alcoholism than the movie portrays. I mean, we obviously see, like Felicia was reminding me, that there's that scene at the beginning where they talk about,
yeah, Jack pulling Danny's arm too hard when he was drunk and dislocating his shoulder, and
there's all the scenes of him drinking with Lloyd at the bar in the hotel. Like there is definitely mention of it, but Ewan McGregor, as adult Danny, is dealing with alcoholism in a very real way in Dr. Sleep. Yep. And it starts, the first way we see adult Danny is at, like, a very low point in his life.
Yeah. And also, like, it gets really traumatic really fast. Yeah. Because, and is this a spoiler review?
Maybe we won't go too far?
Let's not go too far, I guess. But basically, he sleeps with a woman. He leaves her house, and he has The Shining tell him what he's left behind. Is that vague enough? I don't know. But it basically prompts him that he needs to get out of here, and he needs to start over. He needs to start his whole life over, which I assume, because at this point I think we're in New Jersey, right? Like, it says, like, New Jersey or something. Yes. I have a sense that Danny, like, and this isn't necessarily said in the movie, but, like, that he's used to starting over when things get bad. Yeah. And at this point, he's lost his mother. He's alone. He has no real family or, like, significant other support. And so he just sort of goes somewhere, it says, like, upstate or somewhere, to just get a fresh start, and he meets his new best friend, who is the sweetest man. I love this guy. What's his character name?
Billy.
Billy. Oh, such a good guy. And Billy gets him into AA, gets an apartment, and Danny can sort of start his new life. Yes. And I think through a lot of this, what I think is really great is that it's like looking at Danny as an adult through the lens of what happened to him as a kid. So it's like a movie about, like, trauma. Yeah, which I think is which comes up a lot, which I feel like sometimes is not talked about enough in horror movies. Like, I always think about this with, like, Final Girls. It's it's like the Jamie Lee Curtis thing of the new Halloween. Yes. It's like, right, like, if you go through this, like, near-death experience, and
all your friends die.
All your friends die. You have to fight off your killer. You're the only one that survives. Guess what? You're not going to be okay.
You're not going to be okay. And I feel like a lot of horror movies either end in, like, more scares to come, or, like, she's fine.
And she's fine now.
She killed him.
She has the little blanket on her outside the ambulance, and that's that.
She's great.
And this movie is like, no, everything that happened to Danny has ruined his whole life afterwards. Yes. And it's like, right, that makes sense. Right. So I like that honesty. And something, so I was listening to, I don't want to say this word without crediting the podcast I heard it on. I was listening to the Shockwaves podcast when they talked about Dr. Sleep, and they used the word warm, where it's like Mike Flanagan made The Shining warm. And that is such a good word, because you know it's, like, so blue? Yes. And, like, same with Haunting of Hill House. Like, Mike Flanagan's
loves blue.
He loves blue. But it does have this feeling of, like, making horrific movies, like, very inviting. Yes. And it seems like, I know.
And moving.
Yes. It makes it feel, like, much more emotional. And to the point where, I don't know if you ever felt like this while watching it, but there were times where I, like, didn't remember I was watching a horror movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's also very supernaturally. Yeah. It's, like, a lot of supernatural stuff in this one, because we're much more dealing with The Shining itself. But then when there's moments of gore or violence, it's, like, it hits you so much harder because you've been in this warm atmosphere.
Character-driven.
Yes, character-driven movie. And that's, like, so Mike Flanagan. It's, like, all of his work is like that.
Very emotional.
But then he doesn't let up on, like, the scary stuff.
Right. Yeah. So plot-wise, also simultaneously to Danny, we're seeing these, like, soul-sucking humans. So they
Souls-sucking vampires?
Souls-sucking vampires. So they also have touches of The Shining. They're all super gifted in some way.
It seems like The Shining in each person, like, as every person has a different personality, The Shining works with them in a different way.
Yes. And I love I assume Danny, at some point explains it as, like, some people it might just be, like, you know, you feel like your partner's having a rough day and you bring them flowers without knowing. Like, it's like, that part of it also kind of makes it seem very real world, even though we're dealing with all these crazy supernatural things.
Yeah.
So these soul-sucking vamps are traveling mostly after kids, it feels like.
Yeah. Well, it sort of feels like that they're on their way to exhausting their resources. Mm-hmm. So they suck the steam, which is the soul, out of people with a shine.
Yes.
And that's how they can live for an extremely long time. That's how they stay powerful.
And also, like, seemingly signed deals with the devil in some way.
Yeah.
Or maybe not the devil, but
like,
they've
with
signed their life to someone. Yeah.
And it's sort of unclear. Actually, I don't think there seems to be, like, a higher power.
No, but it seems like they're joining some sort of tribe.
Yeah, it's, like, very culty.
Very culty, and also, like, spoiler, but some of them die. Mm-hmm. And the way that they die also feels very specific to, like, they signed their life to something.
Right, that's a good point.
Because they just get killed in normal ways. But the way that they die is pretty intense.
Yeah. And it's interesting that they die that way because when the first death occurs, I assumed
I know.
They die in a dust thing. They burst into dust. And when the first person died, I assumed it was because that person was so ancient.
Yeah.
But then when someone else that's quite young dies, they die in the same way. Mm-hmm. So it does seem to be something about the pact.
Which, like, and the other thing is that their bodies disappear. Mm-hmm. So it's whether it's, like, they gave up their body to be pure soul. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Whereas the people that they kill, they just die like normal people.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, the most adorable kid ever is in this movie, too.
Jacob Tremblay.
Oh,
I can't believe he did it. He's a literal star.
Well, Mike Flanagan directed him in his first film.
So he feels like he owes him?
Maybe. Well, Before I Wake I can't remember why I know this. Before I Wake was initially Jacob Tremblay, film debut, but the room beat him. But the room beat it because Before I Wake got stuck in, like, distribution hell for 2 years.
Wow.
And so they were no longer introducing Jacob, but he was the first director that Jacob worked with.
He's such a star.
So, yeah, he's so great.
But I couldn't believe he did such a small part.
Yeah, well,
it's very intense.
Yeah, it's very intense. It's a very good role for him.
It's a very good role.
But yeah, and so we have these people, and then we have our little star. Whose name I forgot. What is
Abra?
it? Abra.
Abra.
Like abracadabra.
Okay.
Abra. I want to see what her name is because I know she hasn't done a lot, and I want to just make sure I say her name.
I feel like it's right here.
Oh, you have it?
I have it right here, and her name is Kylie Curran.
Kylie Curran. I know you're probably not watching this, but keep doing what you're doing, girl.
You're a star.
She is a star.
She's a real star.
I felt like I could feel everything she felt in that movie.
Yeah.
She's so good.
Also, like, her face is very expressive.
Yeah. She's not, like, afraid.
No.
To do anything.
No.
But so she plays a character that has a very, very strong shine to the point that she sort of becomes friends with Danny, adult Danny, through, like, their telepathic connection. Yes. Like, they get to know each other in their brains before they ever meet in person, which I think is so cool. And I don't... And at this point in the movie, or at this point in Danny's life, he's extremely resistant to the shine.
He's been sort of shutting it out.
He's been shutting it out because he doesn't want to see the scary things.
Right.
And he's basically taught himself to hide.
Yes.
He wants to hide his shine.
He also, like, doesn't he briefly mention that, like, those people, like, he knew about people like the soul suckers?
Oh, I can't remember. Maybe.
I think he says something that's, like, that's also, like, I saw a glimpse of them and now...
So, at this point in the movie, Danny has grown up and he has really dimmed his shine. Not necessarily dimmed, but he's been hiding. Right. He's not trying to use his shine. He's not trying to look for things. He's trying to shut it down as much as he can. And somehow this little girl, Abra, starts connecting to him. Mm-hmm. And they become friends through this, like, telepathic... friendship.
Yeah. And I feel like she actually is, I mean, later obviously, but she's, like, a huge help to him using his shine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And embracing it more. Where, like, he's used to hiding it because of the scary stuff or, you know, wanting to stay safe.
So is Abra. Like, she has sort of a whole, like, storyline about her hiding her powers from her parents and, like, and trying to, like, shut down all that stuff because, or at least in front of them, because she doesn't want for them to be concerned. It's, like, so sad.
It is really sad.
She doesn't want her parents to think she's weird. And I'm just like, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there more plot stuff we should say, or can we just...
Okay, I'll just say this. So, and then the main plot of the movie is basically Danny and Abra teaming up to go against these soul-sucking vampires.
Including Rose the Hat.
Including Rose the Hat.
Who's the leader.
I'm assuming everyone's going to be for Halloween this year because people love her. Though too simple a costume for us, I would say.
I know. I actually thought about it, and I was like, eh.
Yeah. I think she is... Wait, did I see that? That might have been a made-up Funko Pop. I thought I saw she might be getting a Funko Pop, but it might have just been, like, a fan-made Funko Pop. Hard to tell these days.
Either way.
Twitter is a wild place. But, yeah. And so Rose the Hat is sort of our other big character of this one. Mm-hmm. And she is...
Sort of a Stevie Nicks vibe.
Totally! Oh, my gosh. She's such a Stevie Nicks. But she is the leader of this vampire soul-sucking gang. And she's not the oldest, but she does seem to be somehow the most powerful. Yeah. Like, she can really, like, astral project. Is that what that's called?
That's, like, I think that is where you, like, put
yourself somewhere else.
Yourself somewhere else.
Yeah, so she can, like, go and she can see people in different ways. And I don't know. She's got a lot of power. She can move things.
I love that snake bite girl, too.
Yes, and oh my god, the snake bite. Wasn't her name like Snake Bite Audrey?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I
hope it's Audrey.
It's definitely Snake Bite.
Because she's such an Audrey from Little Shop, but I don't think that's actually her name.
Snake Bite Andy.
Andy. That is such a great character. Because also, this is like, whatever, I don't care. I'm just spoiling things. But Snakebite Andy is one of the first people we see the cults take in. Like, they already have their people, but it's how we see someone get initiated into their cult and how that all works. And it's funny because when they come upon her, she's, like, seducing pedophiles, basically.
Yes,
and then
much older gentlemen.
Yes. And it is so badass and amazing. But when I was watching that scene, I thought she was already in the cult and she was doing this for them somehow. Yes. And then you realize she's just doing this on her own because she can.
As like a fun
as a
weekend plan.
Yeah, as a fun weekend plan. But yeah, it's like, so, and that actress is like so beautiful.
She's really cool looking.
Yeah, she's so cool looking. She looks like a little fairy elf.
Yes.
Girl.
Yes.
But she's great. Oh, wait, sorry. I just read one of Lauren's notes and it blew my mind because I haven't read the book, Dr. Sleep.
Yeah, right?
But here it says Dan is revealed to be Abra's biological uncle?
In the book.
Okay, well, that's not in the movie.
Not in the movie. I just thought it was crazy because she calls him Uncle Dan the whole time. But it's like very much
like
clear
a friendship thing.
That they're not related.
Yeah.
But in the novel, apparently, his Jack Torrance had an affair with her grandmother.
Oh, I see.
So she's...
Wait.
Yeah.
Or would it be her mother?
The little girl's grandmother. So that it's her...
Oh, I see.
So
yeah, you're right.
He's like half brothers with her mother.
Whoa.
Which is like kind of a stretch. I feel. So
I agree. I probably didn't need that in the movie. But something else that, I mean, we can talk more about what we loved about the movie, but something that I do think we both find interesting is that it hasn't done very well at the box office.
I know.
Yeah, in the last few weeks on Twitter particularly, so many horror people are like tweeting me like, please go see Dr. Sleep, please go see Dr. Sleep. And I'm just like, even I was late to the game on it, but I was always planning on seeing it.
Yeah.
But, and you sort of mentioned this, but there's something about the general non-horror audience, though they are seeing more horror movies than ever, there might have been some confusion in terms of like what the heck Dr. Sleep was.
Yes.
Because if you just saw the poster, it does not seem to be related to The Shining. If you see the trailer, it's sort of like, is this a Shining remake?
Right. That's what I was very confused when I started watching the trailer for the first time because I was like, wait, are they remaking? Are they, what is this?
Yeah. And so, and if you know what it is, then it's like, okay, great, I know what it is. But if I can imagine if you didn't know, not being as inclined to see it.
Right.
But it was amazing. So
Yeah.
I hope more people see it. I hope the box office has done okay now. I also don't understand, and this is like so random, why like no horror movies come out in October. Do you always feel that way?
The what?
That like
That
no
they
horror movies
don't?
come out in October.
I feel like they do.
Like what? Like what came out in October?
Wasn't it October? No, that was September.
Like yeah. It's like everyone's so scared to release things in October.
Maybe that's true.
I don't know.
Maybe they're worried about competition in October.
And then nobody does
and then no one doesn't. So there were more like fun behind the scenes things that are interesting to me.
Yeah, bring them.
Mostly I was just fascinated because I haven't read the book. That so Dick does not die in the book, The Shining, which blows my mind.
He doesn't come back to the hotel?
No.
Oh.
Or maybe he does and he lives.
You know, that's one reason, that's one annoying thing
That's what I
have
hate
with
about The Shining. He walks in and gets stabbed.
He gets all the way there, the whole freaking journey. They show him in that hotel room. They show him with
that like beautiful black woman above his bed.
Yes.
And, like topless black woman.
Oh
And you're like, what?
They give all this information for him to walk in and die.
Yep. But
Dang.
it does, I will say, like, watching it back, like, it does give Danny more time. So it does save him, maybe.
Sure.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Helps him out.
I'm sure
because
somehow.
that's how it's framed in Dr. Sleep. Is like he says you need to go help this little girl.
Like I helped you.
Like I helped you. Which like whether that is like he taught him about The Shining, you need to go teach her about The Shining.
Yeah.
Or like she's gonna die, I saved you, you save her.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was about to reveal a big spoiler and I took it back.
Good for you.
But then, so what I was going to say is that the scene that starts off, or towards the beginning of Dr. Sleep, where he's teaching him about the chess, in the book, he's actually alive teaching him that. He comes to Florida and is like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to deal with this. So Mike Flanagan, in all his wisdom, brought him back as a ghost presence. To be fair, he does later die in the Dr. Sleep novel from old age or something, and then like continues to come back as a ghost. So it's not like a new theme, but I
do like that in Stephen King books, like having like ghosts that are guardian angels kind of thing.
Oh my gosh! Sorry, this is another huge point. So after he passes away due to old age in the book, he comes back in the body of someone who's on hospice that he's visiting.
Whoa.
Yeah, so he never appears, I think, in his state again.
Yeah.
You know, like he doesn't show up just like, hey, what's up?
It's also interesting to me that the whole name of this thing is Dr. Sleep. And that's actually such a small subplot of what the Dr. Sleep stuff is about.
Yeah.
But it is a very beautiful subplot. And I don't want to give it away because I really didn't know what it was.
No, I cried a lot.
It's very surprising. It's very surprising about what the words Dr. Sleep actually mean for Danny. But it is also funny to me, and maybe it's bigger in the book, maybe it's not, but it's this like small part of it that is like the overarching title of the whole thing. It's interesting.
And it is like, it goes along with our feelings that that it's like in a more emotional movie than maybe that. So some more tech stuff. Shall I keep going?
Do it.
This is actually yours.
Oh.
That there are only 3 reused shots from the original Kubrick movie in Dr. Sleep.
So I initially, before seeing the movie and before looking it up, I thought the plan was to actually use quite a few of the shots from the original movie.
Me too, definitely.
I thought I read that somewhere.
I don't know.
But it's really only like 3 shots that they heavily doctored that are towards the beginning. If you remember like the beginning of The Shining, it's like all the mountains and the trees and the driving through the mountains. It's like some of those shots that have been heavily doctored to go into the very blue world of Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
But it's like a nice thing that it's there, but it's not something that you would recognize. Yeah. I don't think.
And all the iconic scenes that I assumed were the same from the trailer are all new actors. New.
And they did such a great job. Oh, something fun I do want to say is that they built the set of the hotel practically.
Crazy.
It's amazing. They built the whole thing out. The only thing that CGI'd is the ceiling because they had like the film lights in the ceiling. But everything else is like built to a T, and they even got the blueprints of the original set from Kubrick's estate. So they could put everything exactly.
It's so crazy.
It's so crazy. And I was watching somewhere that like literally like people were just walking around with iPads watching The Shining and like looking around the room, trying to make sure everything was, like, in the right spot. And I just was like, I love the dedication.
It's really crazy.
Yeah, and it feels really real.
I think the key to all of this is that Mike Flanagan somehow won over the Kubrick estate and somehow won over Stephen King to be able to, like, join them in a way that they hadn't been joined.
Yeah, exactly. So. It's like he ended a feud or something.
Yeah, I can say this now, I guess, but so Mike Flanagan, I read an interview with him where he said, like, Stephen King has said to him that Dr. Sleep has, like, softened his idea of the Shining movie.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
I was like, maybe he's just getting old, but...
Softening with age.
Softening with age.
That's very possible.
I liked this cameo that you included. That Danny...
I don't know what I wrote on this.
Danny Lloyd from the original Shining movie...
Oh, yes.
Makes a little cameo in the baseball scene.
Yes.
Which, like, I don't even think I can say cameo, really. He's probably an extra.
Yeah, like, he's listening to the guy who's talking. Yeah. Like, I did not see it. No, I didn't see it when I was watching the movie. But it's just a nice little thing.
It's just nice.
And so I think they had also asked Stephen King to do a cameo, because he does that sometimes. But he apparently was so exhausted from his cameo in It Chapter 2, which is a full-on role with lines.
It's a role.
It's great. I loved it. That he was like, I'm going to sit this one out. Like, I'm tired.
Which makes sense.
I'm just going to chill in Maine.
I love that.
But yeah. I will say the biggest difference for me from this movie to The Shining, other than, like, yes, like, vibe, very different, but just the fact that this movie is so much about the supernatural aspects of The Shining, and The Shining feels like so much more of a slasher movie.
Yeah, it really does.
It's, like, so much about Jack Nicholson chasing people around with an axe.
Yes.
Versus... Dr. Sleep is so much about, like, these people, like, feeding on souls and energy and, like, using their powers. And, like, I love that stuff. Especially if you give a little girl powers, I'm gonna watch that movie. Because it's, like, very exciting to me.
Yes.
And this little girl, Abra, is, like, so powerful. And it teaches everyone in the movie so much about what it means to have power and shine. It's so good. Yeah, but then also, going back to, like, what I initially was talking about, like, trauma, is I feel like they also address all of that in a realistic way. This movie is 2.5 hours. I forgot to say that. It's long. So long.
You know it's, like 7 minutes longer than The Shining?
The Shining feels way shorter than that.
I know. I looked it up.
I thought The Shining was, like, under 2 hours. That's crazy.
I'm going to tell you the hard
truth.
I'm looking it up right now.
I want to know.
I know you do.
Because in my head, I was thinking, like, 100 minutes.
Where is it? It's somewhere down here, right? Yeah. 144 minutes, baby. Oh. I know. I would have said, like, an hour 45.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, well, you live and you learn things.
There you go.
But where are they going with that?
Oh, you were talking about supernatural, little girl.
It feels like that maybe it's the length of the movie that allows them to do this, but they really, like, get through all the trauma stuff, even in the moments that Abra's going through horrible things. It feels like it's all played out in, like, a very realistic timeline.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is not normal for movies. But I felt like I really went on this, like, very long journey with her. And
I will say the big trauma that happens to her, I felt was a little rushed over. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That one, because she's just like, meh.
She's not even like meh. It's the meh that leads into, like, her mom being like meh.
Yeah. Literally.
That's a good point. That just, like, totally takes away
one that I was like,
everything I just said. But you're right. You're right.
I mean, I think they handle it in a way.
They try.
Yeah.
But the movie's got to end sometime.
But I was gonna say that I think, like, the biggest difference for me between this and The Shining is that, like, I really enjoy it. It's very fun, The Shining, but, like, I don't remember feeling a ton for the characters, and whether it's because Shelley Duvall looks so crazy, or I even feel like Danny is, like, sort of just, like, a troubled kid.
Yeah.
Where he doesn't feel like Abra Abra feels like very level-headed for how
and
much
also,
craziness happens to her.
I have no sympathy for Jack Torrance in The Shining.
No, zero.
Like, I never am like, he's going through something. Like, I never feel that way.
I mean, honestly, from the beginning, you're like, why are you married to him?
Yeah, oh my God. Like,
he's so scary. And
he
why would you ever agree?
dislocated your son's shoulder. Get out of there, Shelley.
And why would you agree to go to this big hotel with him for the winter?
Exactly.
That feels very dangerous.
But in Dr. Sleep, it's like, all the characters, even the evil ones, have sympathetic aspects to them where you're just like...
Totally.
Yeah, it's really good. It's very Mike Flanagan.
Very emotional.
Yeah.
So I think, is that enough?
Yeah, is there anything else you want to talk about?
I think that was it.
I think that's it. We really liked it.
We did. I
was so scared Lauren wasn't going to like it.
Because I saw it after you.
Because you saw it after me, and also we had a conversation on the way to New Jersey HorrorCon where I was like, blah, the Joker, and Lauren was like, I didn't like it. And I was like...
I liked parts.
I said, do we have different tastes? And then, like, I saw Dr. Sleep, I was like, I loved it. And Lauren was like, what do you think? I was like, I loved it.
Do you remember The Nun?
Oh, yeah. I had a good time at The Nun.
And I fell asleep.
And Lauren fell asleep. To be fair, The Nun is not a great movie.
She saw that in hindsight.
But I did have fun watching it because, I don't know, I thought it was fun. But,
so our recommendations for the week are The Nun. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll recommend something.
Oh, yeah,
actually, that you should watch.
Oh.
Little Monsters on Hulu with Lupita.
Oh my God.
Playing a kindergarten teacher that has to fight zombies.
Wait, that's amazing.
It came out in October, got no freaking press.
I haven't heard a single GD thing.
I know it. I don't know why no one's talking about it.
Lupita
is in it, and she is a star. I think it's because... I don't know why it is, actually. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because it's on Hulu.
I'm upset.
But you have to watch it. It's adorable and funny, and it's great.
Am I allowed to give not a horror recommendation?
Please.
I just started watching Succession.
What's that?
It's an HBO show.
Oh, I don't know what it is.
It's so good. I feel like I talked to you about it because it
Is it true crime?
It's unrelated. No, it's unrelated to...
anything that we're here for.
Anything that we're here for. But, a Culkin is in it.
Which one?
I know, that's why I'm like, I don't think it's yours.
Is it Rory? I really love Rory Culkin.
We're getting there.
Did I tell this story already on this podcast?
What?
One time I ran into Rory Culkin and I gasped and ran away.
Because she wants
he was
to
so
marry
beautiful.
him.
And then I was like, Travis, you look kind of like Rory Culkin. He was like, don't tell me that.
I don't see it.
I know. I don't see it either.
Why is this not happening?
But what's Succession about?
It's
now we're
Kieran.
just chatting.
It's
Kieran.
Culkin.
Oh, I love Kieran.
She loves all the Culkins.
I love all the Culkins. I really do love all the Culkins. Even Macaulay has come back.
He's come back in a real way.
Yeah.
So it's about a father of this big successful company falling ill, and sort of the children
who's
all
gonna get it.
Yeah,
fun.
But it's like very funny and very dark and interesting.
Cool.
And shot very interestingly.
I'm interested.
Anyway, not horror, but
that's okay.
I'm a fan.
Hey, I watched Lizzie McGuire. We're all here for different things. But that's that, I guess.
Yeah.
I hope you see Dr. Sleep, and if you have, please let us know what you thought of it.
Unless it's bad, which don't tell us.
No, you could tell us. Just be gentle. But that's it. We hope you have some sweet, sweet nightmares.
Bye.
Bye.